The rain hammered against the windshield like angry fists as I drove home that night. It was past 11 p.m. after another brutal double shift at the hospital. All I wanted was a hot shower, my husband's arms, and to forget the chaos of the ER. I pushed open the door to our apartment in Chicago's Loop, and my world shattered. There, on the couch we had picked out together, was my husband Marcos passionately kissing my younger sister Valeria. Both of them naked. The only sounds were the rain slamming the windows and their moans. Time stopped. Elena. Marcos froze, eyes wide with shock. Valeria grabbed a pillow, but it was too late. The image burned into my brain forever. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there dripping wet, my nurse's scrubs suddenly feeling like lead. How long? I whispered. 6 months, Valeria said, almost proud. He loves me, Elena. You're always working. He needs someone who's actually there. Marcos tried to stand, reaching for his pants. Baby, it's not what it looks like. The slap echoed louder than the thunder outside. My hand stung as I turned and walked out into the storm, leaving the door wide open. That rainy night in Chicago didn't just change my life, it awakened something dark and unstoppable inside me. The fall. The next weeks were hell. Marcos moved out and immediately moved in with Valeria. They didn't even hide it. Our mutual friends took his side. You were never home, Elena. A man has needs. My parents defended Valeria. She's young, she made a mistake. Family is family. I lost the apartment because his name was on the lease. I slept on a friend's couch for a month before finding a tiny studio in a rough neighborhood. I kept working doubles, smiling at patients while dying inside. Every night I replayed that scene. Every night the rage grew. Then came the first twist. One evening, while packing the last of my things from the old apartment, I found a hidden envelope in Marcus's nightstand. Inside were photos of him with another woman, not Valeria, and bank statements showing large transfers to an offshore account. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Money I never knew existed. My hand shook. Who was this man I married for 7 years? I took pictures of everything and left, but I didn't confront him. Not yet. Something told me this was only the beginning. What else was he hiding? Hidden clues. I started digging. I used my hospital access to run quiet checks. Marcos wasn't just a sales consultant. He was laundering money for a construction magnate named Victor Ruiz, a man known for shady deals across the Midwest. Valeria knew. She had been helping him, but the real shock came when I discovered a life insurance policy worth $2 million, with me still listed as the beneficiary, and another policy on me for the same amount with him as beneficiary. Taken out just 3 months before that rainy night. Was he planning to kill me? I couldn't sleep. I bought a cheap camera and installed it outside my studio. 2 nights later, I caught footage of a man in a hoodie trying my locks at 3 a.m. He left when a neighbor's dog barked. I was being watched. Who sent him, and why? The secret nobody expected. Desperate, I hired a cheap private investigator with my last savings. What he uncovered broke me again. Marcos wasn't just cheating. He had married me because my grandmother, who died when I was 16, had left me a secret inheritance. A trust fund worth over $8 million that matured when I turned 32. I was 3 months away from that date. Marcos had found out through a crooked lawyer and was planning to divorce me right before the payout, or worse. Valeria wasn't just in love. She was in on the plan from the start. They were going to split the money and disappear to Mexico. The betrayal cut deeper than the affair. They didn't just take my heart. They tried to steal my future. I cried for one night. Then I stopped crying. I started planning. How far would I go to destroy them? Betrayal by someone trusted. I thought my best friend Carla was my rock. She had listened to me sob for weeks. She brought me food, let me crash at her place. I trusted her completely. Until I saw the messages. Carla had been sleeping with Marcos for over a year, even before Valeria. She had been feeding him information about my every move, my suspicions, my new job details. The hoodie guy. Carla gave him my address. When I confronted her at a coffee shop, she laughed. You're so naive, Elena. Marcos always said you were too good for this world. Someone had to take advantage. That was the moment I truly broke and rebuilt myself stronger. What other people in my life were lying? Hidden identity. I disappeared for 2 weeks. Told the hospital I had a family emergency. In reality, I flew to Miami and met my grandmother's old lawyer, the real one, not the crooked one Marcos used. What he revealed changed everything. My grandmother wasn't just rich. She was the silent majority shareholder in Ruiz Construction, Victor Ruiz's company. The same company Marcos was laundering money for. My grandmother had suspected Victor of corruption years ago and left me controlling shares through a complex trust. I now owned 51% of the company. I was the secret owner, the hidden boss. I returned to Chicago as a ghost. New look, new name, temporarily, new power. Would they recognize the woman they tried to destroy? The villain's temporary victory. Marcos and Valeria announced their engagement publicly. They threw a lavish party at a rooftop venue overlooking the river, funded by his big bonus. Carla was the maid of honor. They mocked me in speeches, calling me the crazy ex who couldn't keep a man. Victor Ruiz himself attended, praising Marcos as his most trusted associate. I watched from the shadows across the street, rain falling again. Just like that night, they looked so happy, so untouchable. I almost lost hope. Maybe they had one dot until I found the final piece. The biggest revelations. The private investigator sent me the last files. Marcos wasn't just laundering money, he was helping Victor Ruiz cover up the death of a whistleblower who had threatened to expose the company's illegal dumping and worker exploitation. There were emails, recordings, and bank trails that could send them all to prison for decades. And the best part. My controlling shares gave me the legal power to fire Victor Ruiz and audit the entire company. The biggest revelation, Valeria was pregnant with Marcos's child. They were planning to use my inheritance money to start a new life while I rotted in poverty. That was the night I decided. No mercy. Public exposure. I waited for the perfect moment, the company's annual gala, broadcast live on local Chicago news. I walked in wearing a stunning red dress, my hair perfect, looking nothing like the broken woman they abandoned. Security tried to stop me, but I showed my ID as majority shareholder. The room went silent. Victor Ruiz turned pale. Marcos dropped his champagne glass. Valeria looked like she'd seen a ghost. I took the microphone. I want to thank my loving ex-husband, Marcos, and my sister Valeria for showing me who I really am. Because of that rainy night, I discovered the truth about this company. And about the millions you all stole. I played the recordings. Showed the documents on the giant screen. Revealed the murder cover-up. The money laundering. The plot to kill me for the inheritance. Gasps turned to chaos. Victor was arrested that night by federal agents I had tipped off earlier. Marcos tried to run, but security now following my orders held him. Valeria screamed at me, "You're a monster." I looked her dead in the eyes. "No, Valeria. You created one. Justice and revenge." Marcos went to federal prison for 22 years. Valeria lost the baby from stress and faced accessory charges. She lost everything. Carla testified against them, hoping for a deal, but still got 5 years. I took full control of Ruiz Construction, fired the corrupt executives, and turned it legitimate. The company now funds women's shelters and whistleblower protections. I moved into a beautiful home overlooking the lake. 1 year later, on another rainy night in Chicago, I stood at my window, holding a glass of wine. I thought I'd feel empty after revenge. Instead, I felt free. But the real final twist. I was never alone that night. I discovered the truth. My grandmother had one more secret. She had been watching over me through a trusted ally inside the company, the private investigator. He was her old bodyguard. She knew what they would try. And she made sure I would win. Sometimes the people who hurt you the far most are the ones who accidentally set you on the path to your destiny. This powerful story follows Alina, a dedicated nurse whose life is shattered on a rainy Chicago night when she catches her husband Marcos in bed with her own younger sister Valeria. What starts as a painful betrayal turns into a thrilling tale of hidden millions, secret identities, murder plots, and an epic revenge. Alina discovers that her husband and sister planned to kill her for a massive inheritance. With courage and intelligence, she transforms from a broken victim into a powerful secret CEO who publicly destroys everyone who betrayed her. Packed with jaw-dropping twists, deep betrayals, and explosive emotional satisfaction, this story keeps viewers hooked until a shocking and cathartic final twist. Call to action: if this story touched your heart, hit like, subscribe and turn on notifications for more revenge and empowerment stories. What would you do if you were in Elena's place? Tell me in the comments below. Your story deserves to be told too.